Dean Evans from Winning Edge Investments has been flying for us this carnival, and I reckon he'd be pretty excited about day one of the championships at Royal Randwick tomorrow afternoon. Dino, good morning to you, mate. What a program this promises to be.
Yeah, good morning, Gareth. And yeah, this is, you can't get excited about a day like this, Gareth, and you can't be a racing fan. This is, it's one of my favourite days in Sydney. 4 massive Group 1s and just absolute classics as well. The Derby, the Doncaster, TJ Smith and the Size Produce. These are races all steeped and very rich in history. And they're the best of the best coming together for the championship. So we've got some brilliant fields. And I like to look at the historical profiling in the background of the races. It's quite interesting how, even in these big races, big fields, there's some certain form factors that tend to help you find the winner year in, year out.
We're on a soft track at the moment, soft 5 rails in the True, but drying conditions over the next couple of days in Sydney. Michael Wood telling me that he's never had the track better. He's never seen Randwick look better. So can't wait to see what unfolds over the next couple of weeks. Let's have a look at the Group 1s, and we'll start off with the size. And Cylinder, that was so brave in the Golden Slipper, is the dominant favourite around $2.10 or $2.20 with Bet365. Don Corleone at $7.50. Geez, Empire of Japan's a big price at $7.50. V8 at $5.50's had good support with Bet365. Brave Mead's had support as well at $6.50, and the rest are in double figures. And of course, today's wagering update brought to you by Bet365, the world's favourite online betting company. Make sure you gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858. What are you doing here, Dino?
Yeah, look, from a historical profiling perspective, 7 of the last 11 winners have come out of the Golden Slipper. All 11 ran over 1,200 metres last start. 8 of the 11 came out of a Group 1 last start, and 10 of the 11 came off a Sydney run, with only one coming off a Melbourne Blue Diamond run. Pretty average speed here, so I think like the Brave Mead, bases loaded, Cylinder, they'll push forward, and they won't be too strong with Tempo, Harbour, V8, Disconnect, and Bush Cassidy will probably be forward of midfield. Some of the horses like Militarised and Cafe Millennium, they'll be right out the back. Probably the 4 Group 1s, Gareth, I found this probably the trickiest. Hard to really sort of hone into one from a betting perspective at least. Cylinder, we've been following him closely, you and I, on the Silver Slipper and the Todman comfortably. Unfortunately for you, at 66-1, he found one better in the Golden Slipper. Sorry,
bloody
mate.
Shinzo.
He ran a brave race, and he's the one to beat. But 225 is, I thought it was a bit skinny. From the rest, there's quite a lot of these younger horses. Gareth, they're running really good sectionals. Brave Mead's run very quick sectionals with past 2 starts, the latest enlisted grade that he won. V8 won the Group 2 Size Produce his second start. He ran strong late sectionals as well. Bush Cassidy was second enlisted grade and debut, then won a maiden at Mornington. Again, the sectionals were actually quite impressive. Empire of Japan, he was a British Plate winner on debut. He was pretty good in the Golden Slipper. He's got a tongue tie on, which is a bit of a negative, but he's got Zach Curtin on, which is positive. I found this race a bit tricky. I sort of think Cylinder deserves to be favourite, but I just couldn't have him as short as he is at sort of 220, 225. I sort of see him more as a $2.80 chance. I think Brave Mead, he looks a good horse, but from a profiling perspective, he's coming off sort of a Melbourne run that's not a Group 1 run. V8 coming off a 1,400 metre run, which is not usually the right form for this. And Butch Cassidy coming off a Melbourne run as well. So a bit of a tricky race. I think they've all sort of got a few convictions, either on price or other reasons. And it's probably, a race where I might throw a few for exotics in terms of sort of, those sort of 5 that I've mentioned, and in the hope of Cylinder gets beat, that you might nag a sort of trifecta or something like that.
All right, then, let's have a look at the TJ Smith, which is race 7. Nature Strip $5.50 with Bet365. Private Eye at $8. I Wish I Win at $7.50. Then you go down to Giga Kick out to $4.20 now. And In Secret, the filly at $6. So, Jesus, this is a good race. Marzu at $15. Lost and Running first up at $17. How do you assess this year's TJ?
Yeah, this is a great race. And, so Nature Strip won it 3 years in a row. Chautauqua won it 3 years in a row before him. Santana Lane, Black Caviar won this race. So it's always been a brilliant race. I think from a profiling perspective, the most interesting part about this race, Gareth, is 6 out of the 11 won at third up, 4 out of 11 have won at fourth up. Only one horse, Santarana Lane, has won at second up, and nothing's won at first up. If you actually combine the TJ Smith 1200 at Randwick with the Everest, which is the other sort of, should be a Group 1 1200 at Randwick in the spring, from the last 11 years of 17 races, 16 have won at third or fourth up, and only one horse has won at second up. That's one winner from 67 runners, first or second up. And what's interesting about this race, Gareth, is Nature Strip, Lost and Running, Private Eye, Marzu, Paul Ailey, Overpass, Giga Kick, Passive Aggressive, Shades of Rose, all first up or second up, including Nature Strip and I Wish I Win, who are Nature Strip and Giga Kick, who are the two shortest in the market. So for me, from a betting perspective, I'm quite excited about this race. I think there's a lot of speed. You got Nature Strip, Passive Aggressive, Shades of Rose, all pushing to lead. Overpass, Mariama, Lost and Running, Mayors, all a little much handy, and I think it's going to be a really quick speed. So I think it's going to suit the fit horses who are going to get back and storm over the top. So I'm quite keen on 2, Gareth, I Wish I Win. Really talented Golden Eagle winner, flew home for second in the Lightning and flew home again for third in the Newmarket. Just profiles absolutely perfectly for this race. Will get back, really swoop home, comes into this third up, which is ideal. And then In Secret, who's the Group 1 Coolmore winner down the straight as a 3-year-old, but she won first up at Group 2 level, was a close third in the Group 1 Surround, won the Newmarket handicap really impressively, and comes into this fourth up. And in a race where, like I said, only one horse out of 67 has either won at first or second up in the major sort of 1200s at Randwick. I just have to bet around the likes of Nature Strip and Giga Kick and go hard on I Wish I Win and then Secret.
I love it. So you can get $7.50 I Wish I Win. Has had good backing with Bet365 for Moody and Nolan. And then, Jace Cummings was bullish too about In Secret. $6 the filly. I know she goes to Weight for Age, but she's at a terrific each way price for a 2-time Group 1 winner. So can't wait for the TJ Smith there in race 7 at Randwick tomorrow. Race 8 is the famous Doncaster, handicap conditions. And you said at the start of our chat this morning that the size was the toughest race. So I thought the Doncaster looks impossible for mine. So I'm looking forward to listening to you analyse this contest. Alligator Blood at 10, Mr. Brightside at $5.50. Kerwin's Lane, unfortunately, is out now. Then we go to Fangirl at $8.50. Converge is under a cloud. He was lame during the week, so he'll have to pass a vet test before he is allowed to start. Duke Decess has been easy despite the big raps on him at $23, the former European galloper. Nugget at $34, Bandersnatch at $21, Golden Mile at $19, Protagonist at $11, Communist, the Guineas winner at $19, and then Osipenko at $12 here if he gains a start. How do you read this year's Doncaster?
Yeah, look, from a profiling perspective, 10 of the 11 winners have won either third up, fourth up, or fifth up. There are a couple of runners here that are sort of first up, second up. 9 of the 11 have come off a 14-day break. Usually they come out of the George Rider and come into this and run well, and there's a fair few coming out of the George Rider here. 3 3-year-olds have won in the last 11 years. The most interesting piece of this race, considering Doncaster is always a 20-horse field, big mile. The last 11 winners out of 11 have all finished first to fourth at their last start, and 10 of the 11 finished in the first 5 at their second and third last start. So this is a in-form horses race, consistent in-form horses. Unlike many other races that don't sort of profile like this, for a Doncaster, if you're not in form and going well consistently at the last sort of 3 runs, you basically can't win. There's plenty of speed here. Gentleman Roar, Alligator Blood, Pride of Jenny pushing forward. Bandersnatch, Zoo Gotcha, Protagonist, Lindemann, Mr. Brightside likely be handy. So, I think this will be a pretty strongly run Doncaster. There's plenty of value here. Gareth, I agree it's a wide open race, but I think there's so much value here that there's probably 4 horses I'm pretty keen to back. And 3 of them are 3-year-olds, all trained by Chris Waller. Osipenko, ran third, beaten half a length at his 4th career start in the Caulfield Guineas, won the Hobartville 2 starts ago and came on and really thought he was going to win the Randwick Guineas, but just had a small setback. He's a good 7th in the George Rider, considering he's coming up sort of a 4-week break. He's only beaten 1.5 lengths. I like the fact that Waller's chosen Mick D for him. That suggests to me that Osipenko's going really well because Mick D's flying and Chris Waller's using him quite a lot. So Osipenko a big chance. Do Gotcha really ticks all the boxes, won 3 in a row last prep. including the Flight Stakes by 2 lengths at this track and distance. She won the Far Lap Stakes by a length last start. She's a very consistent in-form filly that ticks all the boxes that we like. And Lindeman's another one that's also in-form, second in the Randwick Guineas, then won the Rosehill Guineas. Back to a mile, I like that. Chris Waller won his first Doncastle's Triple Honour that way. And so then down on the weights, that suits too. And the other one's Mr. Brightside. Won this race last year, going substantially better now. Charged home for 5th and 2nd at Group 1 level, then won the All-Star Mile last start. Zach Purton, you can't get a better jockey on board. And so for me, the 3-year-olds plus Mr. Brightside, I think you can back the 4 of them, considering sort of 3 of them were at double-figure odds. And I really think the winner's going to come from one of those 4 horses.
And Oz Pinker, of course, gains a start now with the scratching of Kerwin's Lane. So Mickey D will ride that galloper from an inside gate. So it's out of a carbine, which would have been a strong favourite. So that race changes a little bit in the early part of the meeting. So, yeah, the Doncaster is always a beauty. What about in the Derby? I think out of the Group 1s, this is the race that I'm most confident in. Despite the gate, I think Sharp and Smart will be too strong. I think he's at 340, you might get a little bit better on race day. Huey Bowman rides for the Rogersons. Manzois that defeated him in the Derby and gets the blinkers on at $15. The Victoria Derby I speak of. Pericles at $4. Mark Twain at $8.50. And then Stroke of Luck at $17. Who wins this year's Derby, mate? Japanese Emperor at 13's had some good backing.
Yeah, look, it's a really good field. We've sort of seen, you got the first 4 home in the New Zealand Derby here, pretty much the first 4 or 5 home in the Tulloch, and I think it's the first 3 home in the Rosehill Guineas. So the sort of 3 main lead-ups, all of the runners are here, which is quite rare and makes it for an exciting Derby. Couple of interesting things from sort of a profiling perspective of the Derby. 10 of the 11 won, have been either 4th up or deeper in their prep, as you'd expect in a staying race. Only 1 second up, which was Hitotsu. It was a freak. 4 have come off a 7-day break coming out of the Tulloch, and then 4 off a 14-day break, usually the Rosehill Guineas, 3 off a 28-day break, which is often the Derby, so a wide spread of runners. Quite interestingly, and surprisingly, considering it's a 2,400-metre race, but 10 of the 11 winners have been barrier 1 to 9, so the inside 9 barriers. Only 1 horse has won drawn barrier 10 or wider. I do agree with you, though, Gareth. I do think Sharp and Smart's the one to beat. He's just a winner. He won the Spring Champion for us last prep, which was a huge win after racing sort of wide, no cover throughout. Won the Group 1 New Zealand Derby again. That was a really tough performance. He's just a winner. And I do think he is the one to beat here. But I do think that the New Zealand Derby form is the strongest. I think Arndalis finished strong with the second, beating the long neck in that Derby. As Zach Purton hops aboard. So I think the sort of, 20 to 1 is an amazing price for that horse. Full of Sincerity ran 3rd in that New Zealand Derby, hit the line solid in the Tulloch. I like the fact that he sort of comes off the quick backup, because that's a really good record. And Andrew Forsman, there's no better trainer of the Derby than Murray Baker, who won 4 Derbies. And, of course, Andrew Forsman trained with him. He knows how to win a Derby. So I think Full of Sincerity, again, at 20 to 1, has to be a strong chance. And Mark Twain, was sort of the eye catcher, I guess, out of that Derby sort of well back, and really finished home strong for 4th in the Derby. Again, I think the great thing about these sorts of races, Gareth, is you can back more than 1 horse with the big fields and the huge prices. I do think Sharp and Smart's the one to beat, but I'm definitely going to be backing, the likes of Arndalis and Full Sincerity pretty strongly as well, and maybe saving on Mark Twain and using that as a strategy in a race where I do think the winner's going to come from that Kiwi Derby form.
Can't wait for tomorrow, Dean, and we can head to Winning Edge Investments and the website there, and go to the membership page. If you type in SEN, you get a 50% discount, lifetime discount with your services, not just racing, but NRL, AFL. It's a hamburger with the lot with Winning Edge Investments. So it's, as I keep on saying each and every week, that's the best winner that you can back. Yeah,
that's a great opportunity. It's been great to get so many of your listeners on board and getting great feedback. Seem to be enjoying it. So that's brilliant. And we've got a couple of really huge weeks of racing coming up.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for your time as always.
Cheers, Gareth. Appreciate it, mate.